Can you hear me okay? Yeah. All right, sounds good. Good afternoon, members of our community. Thank you for being here today. The support that you have provided over the past 18 months, and again this afternoon, has helped build the courage we need to share our story today. This has been a heartbreaking journey for us to witness and to experience. Despite this, we are finding strength, resilience, and agency through sharing our voice. Ultimately, what you are about to hear this afternoon is a love story. A love story from 81 educators and dedicated staff members to our schools, students, and community. We returned this year knowing it would be disheartening, challenging, and difficult to complete the work that we have been called to do. We choose to stay despite the opportunities for positions in other districts with greater salaries, because this is our community. This is our home. These are our students, and these are our schools. We love them fiercely and continue to show up daily for them. Please understand that our reluctant silence before has been an act of forced compliance, never an endorsement of the choices and directions that our school board has chosen to take with our school community. At this time, the stakes have become too high, and the risk to our schools have become too great to remain silent any longer. When we can no longer tolerate the burden that being silent has taken on our hearts. We will no longer allow fear to speak louder in this community than love. This is more than a message of love, though. It is a message of hope. Hope that there can be something better for our children. They deserve so much more. Our community deserves so much more. Here is our story.
Dear members of the Woodland Park community, we, the teachers and staff of Woodland Park, are writing because we are deeply concerned about the direction that Ken Witt and the current school board are taking our district and the effect that we will have on the broader community. We feel that in the face of the current administration's attack on our students' learning environments, we can no longer stay silent. We must utilize our constitutional rights to speak out against what we feel is an incompetent leadership actively harming our students and community. It pains us to write this because we deeply love our students and community of Woodland Park, but it has become abundantly clear to us that the direction that Ken Witt and the school board are taking our schools is unsustainable and detrimental to our students and our greater community.
Right now, the students at Woodland Park Schools are missing out on the quality education of their predecessors. This is a direct result of dangerous decisions like refusing funding for mental health support, implementing the American birthright standards, and leaving parents and teachers out of these crucial decisions of the current elected school board and superintendent. We lost close to 40% of our teachers and staff last year. It is our students who are suffering the most because of that loss. Our students have lost decades of institutional knowledge that only years of direct pedagogical instruction can replicate. We regret the circumstances are such that these respected and valued teachers and staff saw no choice but to leave the classroom and schools they loved.
In addition to the loss of instructional knowledge, we are deeply concerned about the adoption of the American birthright standards. We believe that our job as educators is to prepare our students for the future. These state-rejected social studies standards are putting our kids' futures at risk. Many social study courses that our students took in the past are no longer NCAA accredited due to the changes in standards. This means that when our students want to register to be able to play college sports, they can no longer count these unaccredited classes towards those requirements. We need to ensure that our students are college ready if they choose to pursue that path. and the American birthright standards do not measure up to the rigorous academic standards that Woodland Park has prided itself on in the past.
Preparing our students for success also means ensuring that their social and emotional needs are being met, and right now, the mental health support in our schools is woefully inadequate to meet the current demand. The school board chose not to renew $1.2 million in grant funding, which had previously been used to support student mental health services. This resulted in the reduction of 15 mental health positions, such as school counselors. We strongly believe that mental health is integral to academic success and that students must be treated as the developing young minds that they are. Cutting funding for mental health support in our schools when students are facing a variety of challenges and changes, both at home and in school, was entirely the wrong decision to make. This cut is both short-sighted and dangerous. Our community is stronger and safer when our students have adequate mental health support.
Teachers and staff in Woodland Park, we feel that we cannot continue to work under the current culture of fear and silence created by this school board. We are concerned that eventually the current district administration will drive everyone away, and the ones who will suffer the most are our current students and our community at large.
Teachers, staff, and members of this community, we stand together. Knowing that we might face illegal repercussions for this letter, however, standing up for our students' futures depends on taking action now. As teachers, as parents, and as members of this community, our voices cannot be silenced any longer. We implore you, the members of our beloved community, call upon our current school board to reinstate state-approved social studies standards, to reapply for the grant funding that is allocated towards mental health support in our schools, and to prioritize our children's future over politics. Sincerely signed 81 of our Woodland Park teachers and our staff, we have spoken. Nicole Vergens, Giuseppe DiPietro, Amy Smith, Anna Hand, Justin Benjamin, Eric Aragon, Mindy Wiley, Amanda Wall, Mike Schaudel, Kelly Bradley, Lisa Harding, Logan Javernick, Kathy Martin, Jessica Stewart, Ryan Schultz, Stephanie Roman, Amber Hemmingson, Laura Ferguson, Kelly Schmidt, Deanna McHenry, Lindsay Oriana, Jennifer Brocious, Nathaniel Owen, Malgorzata Drews, Savannah Teeter, Blaine Miller, Lenine Blanton-Kleppy, Stephen Feinland, Madeline Del Rio, Lisa Wethoff, Michelle Manning, Andrea Matthews, Kristen Zeller, Teresa Davies, Wanda Gordon, Heather Mackery, Carly Delarue, I'm sorry Carly, Yvonne Goings, Monica Fraser, Jessica Ricks, Cynthia Ingram, Emily Gabaldon, Ashley Schultz, Terry Goldberg, Ruth Flesher, Shelley Lassiter-Reed, Nicole Melby, Michelle Studwell, Leanne Friedrich, Leslie Conrad, Margaret Rudin, Samantha Ware, Leslie Shaw, Michelle Howell, Holly Torres, Teresa Garrick, Lynn Zupons, Barb Rybin, Beth Woods, Connie Knowles, Aubrey Martin, Christy Hensley, Ann Gatlin, Jane Borden, Thomas Kint, Mary Craig, Ann Cummings, Alexis Hansford, Doris Pamperin, Asa Onsong, Shania Myers, Donna Knox, Jill Connolly, Wanda Pingham, Mickey Richardson, Renee Wisniewski, Elena Perling, and Victoria Wallace.
Woodland Park Middle School teacher for 15 years. I teach English language arts passionately and professionally. Reading and writing are everything. I'm speaking today because I'm concerned about our Woodland Park community. In spite of the board's unconstitutional policy restricting free speech, we are speaking today. I am speaking today for myself as a member of this community and on behalf of my students, their families, and my colleagues, those who signed and those who are standing behind me. I am deeply reluctant to speak, but cannot stay silent. When this all started, we were told it would be better if we did not speak. So we did not speak. People tried to speak, and we watched them be disparaged, ignored, or punished. We did not speak, and we did not speak, and we did not speak. As educators, we cannot stay silent any longer, because where we are heading will not serve our students or prepare them for the futures they choose for themselves. I know too many other educators who are rightfully fearful to put their names on this letter despite agreeing with it. I have watched my friends and colleagues be targeted for speaking in the past. I speak because of the unwavering support of my family. Our families are willing to take this risk with us because they see the impact these changes have had on us. I want to thank my husband for all the support he has given me over the years. He has been there for me every single time the challenges I was facing as a teacher felt too great to overcome. Everyone who knows a teacher knows that what impacts us in the classroom comes home with us. I want to recognize all of the spouses, partners, and families of the teachers and staff in Woodland Park. Anything my husband and I have felt has been felt by every one of the teachers who are standing behind us today or who signed the letter. So I will attempt to share stories that are representative of the experiences of too many educators in our schools right now, and demonstrate how the current decisions being made will have long-lasting, harmful effects on our community. I see Woodland Park students in the classroom and hallways who last year were fully engaged with their education and being successful in extracurriculars as well. This year they have lost their supports and the beloved educators who provided them. Now they are struggling to cope day to day, which affects our schools and community. Now, when they have a problem, they have nowhere and no one to go to. We have no social worker at the middle school. We have no full-time social studies teacher. We have one special education teacher with a caseload over the limit. Our emotional needs program was completely eliminated. Our severe needs program is attempting to help as it can, but can only do so much. Our para-educators are doing an amazing job, but are understaffed. I watched a friend and colleague stand up in tears crediting the district mental health supports with their children's survival after they lost their father. The only response she received, and many other professionals, parents, and students who begged for mental health services to continue was, "We are not the Department of Health and Human Services."
Ooh. That's right. Thanks, Kenwit.
Woodland Park is our community, and supporting the youth of this community matters. The middle school community lost a beloved student last year when he died unexpectedly. Our students and staff were immediately embraced by a full staff of highly trained health professionals and our administrative leaders from central office. As the one-year anniversary approaches, I am watching students and staff struggle with ongoing grief, but now with no support. The central office staff does not know its staff or spend time in our classrooms and schools. These actions show callous disregard for the needs of our students in violation of laws and with the rejection of free grant money. The superintendent and school board either cannot or will not support our kids when they are hurting, so I speak. They say they support students, but ignore their needs by cutting 15 mental and behavioral health professionals. They say they want to focus on academics, but take teachers out of classrooms, leaving them empty of academic professionals. Our board and superintendent have failed to retain nearly 40% of their staff, failed to hire a science teacher at the high school, a social studies teacher at the middle school, a special education teacher and social worker at the middle school, and enough support staff across our district. They say they want politics out of schools, but push political agendas over learning through illegally forcing staff to join an association paid for with our tax dollars. They say they care about parents' rights, but attack parents who question them or speak in disagreement, calling a parent of a child with special needs, quote, disgusting. They say they care about students' futures, but take away their opportunities with cuts and the unacceptable American birthright standards, not recognized by the state or colleges and universities as academically rigorous. We need to stop this incompetent and illegal board and superintendent from harming our teachers, communities, and most importantly, our children. This is an issue that is important to the community, and I must speak up. Anyone who knows a teacher well knows we are invested in our students and their growth beyond outcomes and test scores. We are here to care for and educate young people into the futures they choose for themselves so they can thrive in the greater community. That is why those of us on this stage got into this, educating children. Next, I will welcome to the podium an amazing educator who started with me on my very first day in Woodland Park and walked me through all of the steps, and she retired last year. Here's her story.
We love you, Debbie!
Hi, my name is Debbie Metcalf. My family and I moved to Woodland Park in 1992. I've worked in the schools up here for over 28 years. I started as a crossing guard and lunch monitor. Then a grade level para. I ran ISS at the middle school. I moved into building and IT, and then as building secretary. My two children went through the Woodland Park public school system. Recently, my son attended a funeral service for a classmate who passed away that lived in California. He's still connected to so many of the students he went to school with. That's what community schools are. My daughter might not be here today had it not been for a school counselor, one who I didn't even like. My daughter began cutting after attending over a dozen funeral services during her high school years. That counselor was a trusted adult at her school, one who my daughter felt safe reaching out to, the type of person that is not in our schools today due to those cuts. Teachers and counselors don't have to be perfect, but they do need to be empathetic, and that is something our board and superintendent are not. What has changed up here with this new board? My grandchildren will not receive the education that I feel will adequately prepare them for college to become independent critical thinkers. We have lost so many highly qualified teachers. Behavior management services have to be sought elsewhere, many times taking students out of school and forcing the teachers to deal with these issues during school, taking time away from teaching. Some classrooms are overcrowded and packed into limited space, like the middle school. This community is being torn apart with favoritism towards some and nasty comments and actions towards others by this board. Bullying has become more commonplace because this board has shown that it's an acceptable behavior. Teachers don't feel welcome. They're afraid to teach, they're afraid to discipline, they're afraid to make comments about their own opinions. It's become a witch hunt. How can we ever expect to get more qualified teachers up here? This board and the superintendent keep stating that schools are a business, but schools are not a business. It shouldn't be about money. Schools are a service industry, and we are no longer servicing our students adequately. This board wants students to fit into perfect little molds and to not think for themselves, ignoring, insulting, and underservicing any student that doesn't fit that mold.
Right.
This board continually states that parents should have school choice, but they are taking away choices. There have always been choices up here on Woodland Park, but they are taking away the choice to have an adequate, quality public education. The superintendent and this board have made it painfully clear that their priorities and allegiances lie, and they are not with the students, staff, and parents of Woodland Park Public Schools. Condone this board's actions against its students and staff. I used to love my job. I spent 28 years at the same school.
Thank you!
Thank you for letting me speak today.
Thank you!
Insurmountable, and I miss her greatly. I was really hoping she would be there this year to be support for my grandson, who falls under the SPED category, but that didn't happen. And I will let her speak now.
We love you, Nancy!
I am Nancy Godwin. My family and I lived in Woodland Park for 14 years. All 5 of my children have attended Woodland Park schools. I worked at the middle school for 3 years as a paraeducator and 5 years as a special education teacher.
You got this. We love you! Thank you! We're so proud of you!
Thank you. I left a teaching position I loved because I could not stand by and watch Ken Witt and the school board ruin Woodland Park's school district. The current school board's callous decisions have negatively impacted the learning outcomes of students receiving special education services. When I started teaching, the middle school did not have a full-time social worker. The part-time social worker was not readily available to assist in managing student behavior because her time was split between the middle school and the high school. It was only after securing grant funding that the middle school was able to hire a full-time social worker. While there was a full-time social worker, teachers were able to focus on instruction and teaching because because they had a qualified, licensed professional able to respond to the escalated student behaviors. This allowed the teacher to return to teaching much more quickly. When there is not a social worker present in the building, teaching and learning are interrupted each time teachers have to manage those behaviors. This interruption impacts all students in the classroom. When all students are impacted, all parents are impacted. One child's unmet social and emotional needs impacts the entire classroom. When that child has an academic plan that we have a legal and moral obligation to fulfill, but are not able to because the district is not able to fill that position, our entire community will feel the consequences. This is not an accident. This board and superintendent chose to let social and emotional grant funding expire, or they actively called the organizations and told them, we don't want your money that was already approved for continued funding of several mental health positions that no longer exist in Woodland Park. All of our students, families, teachers, and the greater community are going to feel the impact of those decisions. Thank you. Is one of those positions that no longer exist in this district.
So thanks everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Josh DeSmit. I was an educator at Woodland Park Schools from 2008 until 2023. During this time, I worked in special education for students with emotional disabilities. I worked as an alternative education teacher for students who were expelled or at risk of not graduating, and a restorative practices coordinator for middle school and high school, and eventually for the entire district. I've been a district trainer for nonviolent crisis intervention, a district trainer for restorative practices. I've been department chair for the counseling department at the high school. I've been a member of our threat screening team, our critical incident response team. I got involved in many of these roles after I lost a student to suicide when I was a classroom teacher. So Delaware County, as you know, is mostly rural and quite diverse economically. So we're spread across the county, and access to services can be challenging, even for those that are financially well off. Our community has historically struggled to have enough counselors for the population, and often those counselors have a waiting list. So finding a counselor that accepts your insurance can be a challenging task, and finding one that accepts Medicaid can be a seemingly impossible hurdle to jump. So while some come to this county to escape the aspects of city life and enjoy the peace of the mountains, many others are unable to afford rent or mortgage in Woodland Park and have to look further out to find a home. Students can live miles from their peers, and if families rely on busing, students depend on school for much of their social connection, as they may not be participating in clubs or sports or other groups. So unfortunately, with social isolation comes with a slew of challenging situations, such as depression and anxiety. So depression and anxiety, when left untreated, will often lead to students struggling academically. It can lead to truancy, it could be drug and alcohol use, it could be violence, it could be self-harm, and it could lead to suicide. So during this time, our district was looking for more impactful ways of reaching students and families. And we began to build systems to better support our students that were struggling with suicidality, self-harm, substance abuse, poverty, and untreated mental health issues. So we had a number of years where students were slipping through the cracks, and we were responding when the issues had become critical. So part of the response I was involved with during this time was to bring restorative practices to Woodland Park schools. So through restorative practices, we worked hard to shift a culture for students and staff to a place where students' voices were in the conversation. So when students' voices were heard, they felt connection with their peers and their community, and they felt comfortable for asking for help. So students were able to identify trusted adults in schools. They were able to reach out to when things got challenging with academics, with social challenges, and when things were overwhelming. Having a trusted adult in school is a protective factor that can help offset many of the challenges and hurdles that students face in their lives. So when students have an outlet for sharing, they feel less isolated and they can seek support before the situation becomes critical. Unfortunately, the outcome for students and families that are unable to access supports can be life-shattering. Some of the other supports that we added at Woodland Park Schools were our family community liaisons, our school-based therapists, our sources of strength class. So these programs and people provided a crucial layer of support for our students and families. With these positions, we were able to connect families and students with free break activities where students could participate in arts and crafts and going hiking or taking a music lesson or even going snowboarding. Additionally, we work hard to build supports for our students by focusing on prevention and also responding when students were struggling with depression, anxiety, and substance use, and other factors that prevented them from living a happy, healthy, and productive life. When a child is in crisis, having someone at the school that is familiar with these different community supports and the ability to connect families with those providers can literally be life-saving. These systems can be challenging to navigate when things are going well with your family, but can be impossible when your child is in crisis. The actions of this school board have directly led to me losing my former position. There were many other educators and positions that were forced out because of the actions of this current board. The choice to eliminate these positions and return grant funding that paid for these services for our students, families, and community is beyond comprehension. These trusted adults provided a layer of support and a safety net for our students. Without that safety net, I'm worried for the safety of our students and our community. So a community should be measured by how it takes care of its members that are most in need, not just those that are thriving. So no, we are not the Department of Human Services in public education, but should it have to come to a critical point before somebody can access support. I believe that we are better than that, and I believe that our kids and community deserve more. This time, we've got some markers up here for other educators or community members or concerned individuals that would like to put their name on here, correct? Okay, so if you'd like to come on up, you're welcome to come and grab a Sharpie and write your name.
I want every teacher in this building where your name is to sign over top, but I will tell you that we cannot do this without our community support. To these teachers and to our students, I implore you to find a spot on our open letter and sign right alongside our teachers and make that commitment to support our teachers, our staff, and our community. We're going to try to move this to a table so that way it's easier to sign. But I invite every single one of you to have a conversation with a teacher, have a conversation with any of the students in the room, because this is why we're here. We're going to move this to a table, and this concludes the formal part of this. So thank you all for being here.